theory of atoms. Number one, all matter or matter is made up of small, invisible spheres called atoms. All atoms of the same element are identical. All atoms of the same element are identical or has the same number of protons.
Next.
Number three, when atoms join together, they form chemical compounds. They form chemical compounds. All molecules of a chemical compound have the same type and number of atoms. Example, water. So water is H2O, which means that it has oxygen bonded to two hydrogens. So this is one molecule. And when there are multiple molecules joined together, they form compounds, right? So each molecule, no matter how many molecules are there, but each molecule will have two hydrogens and one oxygen bonded to it. Two hydrogens and one oxygen bonded to it. Are you done writing?
Yes.
How do atoms react? Atoms bond with other atoms in a chemical reaction. To make a new substance. These reactions are caused by redistribution. Redistribution of the electronic arrangement of the atoms. Atoms react together. Atoms react together to form a stable atomic structure, or to form a stable atom, to form a stable atom with complete atoms react together to form a stable atom with complete outer shells. So basically, chlorine has 7 electrons, hydrogen has 1 electron. So hydrogen having just one shell needs 1 more electron. Chlorine having 7 electrons in the last shell needs 1 electron. So he shares his electron, and chlorine shares its electron. And as a result, a covalent bond is formed. Okay, and then number 4, only atoms with complete outer shell electrons do not react with other atoms. Do not react with other atoms. Next is Next is, so we already studied about the different types of bonding, right? So now we'll start with ionic bonding. So first of all, we need to know what bonding is. So bonding is nothing but nothing but the forces of attraction holding two or more atoms, molecules, or ions. The force of attraction holding two or more atoms, molecules, or ions is known as chemical bonding. Is known as chemical bonding. So in simple terms, when ions are held together, when ions are attracted to each other, they form ionic bonding. When ions are attracted to each other, they form ionic bonding. Next is, what are ions? What are ions? An ion is a charged particle formed from an atom or a group of atoms by the loss or gain of electrons. By the loss or gain of electrons. So metals form positively charged ions, which are also known as cations. Non-metals form negatively charged ions, which are known as anions. Is everybody done up to this?
Yes.
Next is how cations form. How cations form. So let's take magnesium as an example. So they have a central nucleus. They have a nucleus at the center. And then they have 2 electrons on the first shell, 8 electrons in the second shell, and 2 electrons on the third shell. So, Ayan Masood. Ayan Masood.
Sir.
Yes. So you have to tell me. So আমরা যদি chapter 3, just like chapter 3, if we write the electronic configuration with respect to S, P, and D, with respect to S, P, and D, how do we write this electronic configuration? How do we write this electronic configuration?
I don't know, sir.
Why? Why not? So আমরা যখন revision classes গুলো করব, don't miss the classes. Okay? Okay. Samia, Pfizer. How do you write the electronic configuration with respect to S, P, and D?
1s2,
1s2,
2s2,
2s2,
2p2,
2p2,
2p6,
2p6,
so it should be 2p6, yes, and then
3s2.
3s2, very good. So your first shell can hold a maximum of 2 electrons, so it's 1s2. So 1s2 means is the first shell. The first shell has one subshell, which is the S subshell, and the S subshell can hold up to 2 electrons. So that is the reason the first shell can hold up to 2 electrons, because it just has one S subshell, and one S subshell can hold a maximum of 2 electrons. Next is 2s2, 2p6. Both of them belong to shell number 2. Both of them belong to shell number 2. So the S subshell can hold 2, the P subshell can hold 6. So in total, it can hold 8 electrons. So that is the reason it has 8 electrons in the second shell. And the third shell can hold, the third shell has only one S subshell here, although it can has 3p and 3d also, but we do not have enough electrons to fill these up. So it's 3s, right? So 3s is holding 2 electrons. So as we know, to make an atom stable, in order to make an atom stable, it has to have 8 electrons in the last shell. 8 electrons in the last shell. But magnesium has just 2. So it has 2. It can either lose 2 electrons or it can gain 8 electrons. Sorry, 6 electrons. Either they have two options. Either they can lose 2 electrons or they can gain 6 electrons. They can gain 6 electrons. So obviously, this is not feasible. So they'll opt for this, losing 2 electrons. So magnesium loses 2 electrons and eventually forms 2, 8. 2 electrons and 8 electrons. With the third shell empty. With the third shell empty. So now it has formed an ion. It has formed an ion which has a charge of +2. So now what is the magnesium? What is the electronic configuration of magnesium? 2, 8. And if we write with respect to SPD, it's 1s2, 2s2, 2p6. What has happened to 3s? What has happened to 3s?
Lose.
There's none.
What has happened to 3s? 3s,
Both electrons.
3s being the outermost shell is losing both the electrons, and now they have formed a magnesium ion, which is Mg2+. Please write it down.
Sir,
Hmm.
sir, do we need to show the empty shell? Like,
It's okay if you don't show it. It's okay if you show it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't make a difference.
okay.
Anybody has questions? Anybody has questions? Anybody has questions? So therefore, conclusion is metal atoms lose electrons to form metal ions or cations. Oh, sorry. Anions are formed by gaining of electrons into its atoms. So example, this is too light. So oxygen atom. Oxygen atom has an electronic configuration of 2, 6. 2 electrons, 2 electrons, and then it has 6 electrons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if we write this as an electronic configuration, ki hobe? 1s2, 2s2,
1s2, 2s2, 2p4.
2p4.
4.
Very good. 1s2, 2s2, 2p4. So after they have gained electrons, after they have gained 2 electrons, it has become a complete, it now has a complete outer shell. So previously it had 6 electrons in the last shell. Sorry. Previously it had 6 electrons in the last shell. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now there are 2 new incoming electrons marked orange. New electrons. So now the electronic configuration would be 2, 8. 1s2, 2s2, 2p6. So that this is the new electronic configuration. So as a conclusion, we can say that non-metal atoms gain electrons. Non-metal atoms gain electrons to form anions. To form anions. Okay. So O levels এ আমি তোমাদের আয়নিক বন্ডিং এর ডেফিনিশন খুব ভালোভাবে পড়াইছি। Okay, Ananna Zaima, you have to answer. What is ionic bonding? Ananna Zaima, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Bolo, what is the definition of ionic bonding?
So, sir, ionic
Ionic
bonding.
Yes, ionic bonding.
So exactly like it's when a metal loses electrons and a non-metal gains electrons.
ওইটা তো আমি মাত্রই বললাম, exact definition. Tanisha Mubashara.
Yes, sir.
Definition of ionic bonding.
Ionic bonding forms when an atom loses and gains electrons. And
That's okay. That's not a proper AS definition. Mahati.
Sir, can I answer?
Yes.
Yeah, it is the electrostatic force of attraction between two oppositely charged ions.
Very good. Very good. That's the definition I was looking for. So ionic bonding is the electrostatic forces of attraction between positively charged metal ion which can also be known as a cation and negatively charged non-metal ions, which can also be known as an anion. So electrostatic force of attraction between positively charged metal ion or cation and negatively charged non-metal ion and or anion are known as ionic bond. So ionic bonding or ionic bonding, no? Ionic bonds are formed when a very electronegative metal atom metal ion. Very electronegative. Actually, electronegative এটা না লিখলেও হয় for the moment. When a metal, ionic bonds are formed when a metal reacts with a non-metal. When a metal reacts with a non-metal. When a metal reacts with a non-metal. Ionic bonds are formed when a metal reacts with a non-metal. এখন since now you are AS students, একটা last একটা example দিয়ে আমরা শেষ করব. We'll start continuing with this from next class. So আমরা এতদিন পড়েছিলাম যে when if you have a metal plus a non-metal, you have an ionic compound. For example, if you have sodium, if you have chlorine, you have sodium chloride, which is an ionic compound. But now aluminium plus oxygen is aluminium oxide, which is a ionic compound. But aluminium plus chlorine is aluminium chloride, but this is not an ionic compound. This is not an ionic